There's this guy in Cincinnati had a stroke. I've seen this YouTube video of this guy in Cincinnati had a stroke, and he had one of them symptoms. So it must have been a major stroke. But you do the opposite of what you think you're doing. It's so that you say the opposite of what you need to say, and you do the opposite things. As a matter of fact, you have bad enough brain injury, you just go through your routine and you can't say, much anything. Yeah. So one time when I was a little kid, it's so far back, I don't even remember how young I was. I might have been 10, 9, 8, something, 12. I'd hope. My grandfather called the house, and my dad was, of course, working on the car. Now, back in the day, we really couldn't afford a car, so my dad was always working on a car and learning how a car works, and he probably should have been a mechanic, and he should have probably went to technical school to learn to be a mechanic, like most people out here. But anyway, so yeah, he's like, my grandpa calls and he's talking this down, like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, okay. And I go out there to tell my dad what my grandfather said almost exactly. And hours later, another phone call. So one of my uncles drove my grandfather to the hospital. Okay, so hours later, the uncle called, I think, or somebody, and like saying that grandfather was having a stroke when he called. And so, like, my grandfather was saying like the opposite of what needed to happen. So, whether he was playing it down or not, that's a freaking stroke, and you say things and just say it happened. I was like, hey man, I even start putting the wrong keys. You take certain medications and you're putting the wrong keys in the door. Hey, who cares?